Virtual environments. You can put yourself anywhere you want, anywhere in the world, anytime. All you need is a green sheet or a paper background, and you can replace it with just about anything you need to. So, on this show, we're going to get into it with one of the experts in the field. Stick around. This is another episode of Wirecast Live. Welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live. I'm your host, Andrew Haley, and I want to say thanks for joining us. We do this show every week on Thursdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time if you're in California, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And you can join us here, find us here on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope each week on Twitter, and join the conversation. We bring on experts in live streaming and live video. Feel free to follow, like, share, or subscribe to us on the following platforms. And we even have an email list, so if you want to get a notification right in your inbox, we will send it to you, and you can click on it and join the show. Don't worry, we don't spam you. We just send out notifications about the show and what's coming up as far as upcoming guests. So check it out. I highly recommend signing up. That's one of the best ways to get notified. We have a lot of great guests that come on this show, and I'm always pleased to interview and sit down with them and find out what they know and unpack their knowledge and share it with you. Today, we're going to be diving into virtual sets and virtual environments with somebody who's created them for the last 20 years. They really know what they're doing, and we actually offer these types of sets in Wirecast, and we'll show you how it works and how to bring them into Wirecast. Kind of like this background you see here. This is a very simple background that I have behind me, but we can get quite complex. So we'll get into all that in just a second, but before we do, I want to let you know a couple announcements. First, you're going to want to know that we have a promotion going till the end of the year. If you have been wanting to upgrade your computer or your live streaming workstation, this is a great time to do it. You can trade in your Wirecast software and get a discount off a fully decked out live streaming system. It's also a powerful Windows 10 machine, so you can load not Final Cut, but Adobe Premiere or any of the Windows applications, Creative Suite, and so forth onto it, and do a bunch of other stuff. It also comes with a 4-channel capture card. So check it out if you're interested, and head over to telestream.net for more information on that promotion. We also have a new show that we're launching. This is, if you remember, we used to do learning sessions right after the show. We've decided to break those out into their own sessions in their own show that we'll be launching next week called Wirecast University. And in fact, we even use a virtual set in the introduction. So, Deborah, if we're ready, we can roll that promo for this upcoming show that we're doing. So you want to check this out. We'll be doing these throughout the week, and a good way to get notified is to subscribe or get on the email list, and we'll send you out notifications on that. So why don't we roll that university if we have it? University. Welcome to Wirecast University. All right, so just a quick little teaser there, an opener. Deborah Lee's working on a sort of an opener to the show. Should be a lot of fun. We'll be diving into very deep topics and how-tos on Wirecast, and I'll be doing what I do with getting our hands dirty with the software and really teaching you kind of different tips and tricks, but we'll also be grabbing more general topics and talking about encoding and sort of trends that are going on in the industry, 3D, and all kinds of stuff. So it should be a fun show. Look for that. There's no set time for it. We'll be doing it throughout the week at different times. It's actually something we'll be experimenting with, streaming at different times of the day, because we're so locked in on this show time that I'm looking forward to experimenting with some other times and see if we get other types of audience or people showing up for those. So stay tuned. Again, best way to find out about Wirecast University episodes would be either to log in or go to our YouTube page and check past episodes, or get notified from those sites, or get on our email list. And without further ado, I have one last announcement. I want to let you know about next week's show. We're going to be talking with Steve Aitchison, on how to create your digital formula. Now, he's an expert marketer. He's really good with all types of things and all types of platforms and technologies. And he's going to help us get on and how to. We're going to be talking about how to create streams that engage your audience and build your audience. He's an expert in content. He's an expert in marketing, and he's a great person to sit down with. He's helped a number of different people that you might be familiar with on refining their content and their shows and using live streaming to the best advantage to bring on more audience and engage with your audience. Speaking of audience, I want to take a quick moment to say some shout outs to people who are tuning in. I want to say hi to Rajab and Charles and Rick. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to refresh my Facebook stream. If you have a comment or you want to leave a question or any of that, just type it into the chat and we'll try to get to that throughout the show a couple times. All right. Welcome, everybody, and I'd like to bring on our guest for today, Mr. Eric Pratt from VirtualSetWorks.com. And Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having us, Andrew.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on here. I know we've been wanting to get you on the show for a while now, and you've been a long-time Wirecast partner. I think we met at NAB probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh my God, it's been a lot longer than that.
I'm sure you've known about, the Wirecast team for a long time, but certainly you and I were introduced then. But it's been fun. Like, I really, I was so excited when you showed me your sets back then and what you could do for, and you're basically, I think you're kind of an artist and an architect all rolled into one. You've created some really cool stuff. You're actually sitting in a virtual set right now that you made, I assume.
Yeah, it's true. This is Studio 197.
197. All right.
Yeah, we name all the studios, and that actually 197 isn't a number that we pulled out of our hat. There's literally 196 sets that came before this over the past 20 years. The set that we saw there in Wirecast University was Studio 188.
Yes, I was going to say it's Studio 188, and actually it is available. We'll talk about that in a little bit if people are curious about that. So how many sets roughly? You don't have to give me an exact number, although it sounds like you're pretty good at counting right now. But where are you at with your number of sets these days? Like, are you up in the 200s now?
Yeah, so we're on Studio 207. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that we have 207 sets available. We've retired sets. Some of the sets that we made 20 years ago don't really meet today's standards, and sometimes we retire other sets for other reasons. We currently keep a library of about 100 sets on offer. All of them are compatible with Wirecast, anything from version 6 forward, so they're compatible with 7 and 8. There's a package I think you alluded to that Studio 188 came out of, and these sets come as XML files, and just to give a brief explanation, if you don't know what XML, it's just basically it's a text file which describes what PNG files, what image files are going to be part of this. So this set that you see here is made up of a number of different layers, 20 plus in total. And if I can go into Wirecast and turn some of these off. So I'm going to turn off my screen, for example. And when I push that through to you, the screen is gone. And then
it's like magic. You're in control.
Yeah. So there's a desk which is not in this shot. There's several different layers that we can use to customize the set. So each set, if you think of that, I know you guys probably saw that Studio 188 extremely briefly because it was a really quick promo. But there's a telescope and a chair and a table and a globe in that set, and each of those is their own layer. And right within Wirecast, you can turn them on and off depending on what your needs are.
Yeah, and actually I can go through that a little bit in a hands-on portion, maybe towards the end of the show. But real quick, since you brought it up, let's kind of show people where they can find it. And actually, you have some nice sort of exploded images actually available on our page. So if you guys, I'm going to pull up my web page real quick. But if you go to the Wirecast page and you click buy, or you get to our online store, and the way to do that is just to click any of the buy buttons or go to the store up at the top. But that'll take you to the store page, and you'll find virtual sets right down here at the bottom, which maybe we need to bump those up a little bit. But if you click on them, or click on the Learn More link, it'll pull up the whole page we've designed for, to tell you about these sets. And these are 6 sets. You've included a great sort of diversity, a nice package here from your collection. I think you handpicked these sets and sort of made them optimized for Wirecast users. And the one we were just talking about was the Wirecast University set, which is Studio 188. And you can it's kind of neat here. You sort of provided these sort of different layer images of what different parts of the set look like. So there it is, like with all the furniture and the lighting, and then you've got sort of the telescope and its reflection. I mean, how long does it take you to build something like this?
Generally, yeah, it's nowadays with the all the layers and the reflections, it takes quite a while. That isn't the way that we've.
And I imagine you have to pay the subcontractors and the drywall, and you have the window installers. I mean, you probably have quite a payroll here for all these.
Yeah. The plumbers are murdered.
The plumbing. Yeah, you got to have working bathrooms in your virtual sets. I know that's important. So a couple of weeks, and do you do this all yourself? But I was joking about subcontractors, but seriously, I mean, I'm sure if you needed to, you could probably bring in some experts in certain areas like lighting or something like that. Have you had to train yourself on all the different ins and outs of 3D work and lighting and all that?
Yeah, it's something that we've trained on for the last 20 years. So it's been a gradual process of education on what people like and what works. Our sets do tend to have a newsy/corporate feel. That is sort of the market that we bend to. There's a lot of different markets that we don't necessarily approach as strongly, like weddings, for example, or houses of worship. Though we do have them as using our desk sets, our news sets quite frequently. So our sets do fall into a certain category, and we have a certain look about the work that we do. That's the look that our clients are looking for. So that's how we fit together.
Got it. And can you talk a little bit about your background in this space? I mean, I said you've been doing it for 20 years. Can you talk a little bit about your history and your experience and your career so far?
Yeah, I got my start at a company called Play Incorporated, which was made the first PC-based switcher. So it was an outboard box that attached to your computer that could load images and stills and do chroma keying and with the reflections and the scaling. So it was literally the first product that did that on the PC. It was sort of an offshoot of the Amiga product, but it's the first PC one. I left there to go start VirtualSetWorks, literally to make virtual sets for that platform. That company went belly up about 2 years later, and I realized there was a much larger market in the editing platform. So we have also made sets that work for Premiere, After Effects, Final Cut, Resolve, etc. We have a specialized version for After Effects. It's a .aap file, so everything comes pre-assembled. We did a customized version for Photoshop. It's a PSD file. It comes pre-assembled. Or if you're just working in Premiere or Final Cut, all of the individual elements are on their own layers. So all of the different layers that you were just seeing there in that shot Andrew was showing you are available to be built up on the timeline or come pre-composited. Mm-hmm. So and then my area of highest affinity is for live production real-time systems, particularly the XML-based stuff, because I just like how techy and nerdy it is. It's a mixture of technology and real-time effects and graphics. So that's my preference.
Yeah,
my favorite.
I mean that's awesome. I think that just looking at them, it's clear that you take a lot of care and detail and time into thinking about how to put these together. What I'm really interested in is you sort of it seems to be this art or marriage between computer-generated graphics and real photos. Can you talk a little bit about how you do that and sort of your kind of the types of software you tend to use to do that?
So the almost all of the content within the sets, like if you're looking at the brick behind me, that's actually a real brick. It's not like a procedural image. It's
a photo.
It's a photo, but then and we go and we take the little pieces of brick and we line them up along the bottom there. Sometimes in Photoshop, sometimes in Lightwave, which is the 3D program that we still use today.
Lightwave, I mean that's new tech right there. They've had that forever.
Yeah, that's I started out on 3D Studio Max back in the mid 90s, early 90s. Yeah, I don't know. I lose track. I'm getting old. And then I guess I'd gotten into Lightwave, and it's like a pair of very well-worn jeans at this point. Even though there's better technology out there, I'm super comfortable in it and can make stuff really quickly.
Got it. So you're working at the individual brick level. You're using Photoshop, Lightwave. I'm curious. Also, do you tend to create all your own stock and props? Do you go out and go to thrift stores and actually find those to sort of decorate your sets, or are you constantly just working in stock photo libraries and just doing that?
After fashion, for example, last week we were at NAB New York, and I was running around the city with my camera, acquiring new textures and backgrounds. The shot out the back there, I think is it's hard to tell. I think that's Australia. So I physically went to Australia and took that picture and put it in there. And that brick is, I don't know where I got it. Some
building somewhere in the world.
And I used to drag a big DSLR around with me everywhere, but now I just use my cell phone.
Yeah,
because,
the cameras are good. I was going to ask if you were also an aspiring photographer as well. If it's something you like to do on the side.
Oh God, I used to do so much more photography when I had to drag that DSLR around with me. I did 10 years of time-lapse photos from around the world, and I think when I was done putting that compilation together, I was just like, look, I'm done.
All right. I want to take a moment just to say hi to folks, and if you have a question for Eric, please chat it in or type it in. Don't let me hog all the questions here. But I want to say hi to Lutz and Dave Basolto. Hey, guys. Welcome. And looks like Dave Sheehan and Blake, thanks for joining us. We'll be doing a Q&A during this live stream. Yes, we will. And morning from Australia. That's Dave Sheehan. So we were just talking about that. What were you doing in Australia, by the way? Were you there for a trade show or just for fun?
SMPTE.
SMPTE. Ah, okay. Yep. How many trade shows do you like to get to per year, roughly?
4 to 5.
4 to 5?
Yeah. IBC, NAB New York, and then a couple other random ones, like I did Broadcast Asia this year.
Mm-hmm. What's your feeling? I mean, you've been going to these trade shows for a long time. What's your feeling on sort of the general, if you were to give a sort of state of the industry in the sort of, or trajectory that you're seeing? And this could be related to virtual work, or it could be related to just a general.
No, I mean, in general, it's been very interesting to watch the buzzwords come and go. What was it? It was stereoscopic a while ago.
3D,
everybody got it.
right.
Yeah, that ran real hot for like a year or two, and then kind of faded off. We have a stereoscopic TV, which we actually have, I think, Avatar in 3D.
You bought into the buzz.
It just happened to be part of the TV when we were buying. Yeah, and then even VR to a certain degree, the 360-degree craze was, it really peaked, and then it's kind of on the downswing. It'll probably, I don't think it's going to totally go away like stereoscopic does. I think there's real value in the 360-degree market, but
and I imagine, were you starting to think about 360 sets?
Oh yeah, no, we have some.
You have some
Yeah.
already. Okay.
Yep, we did that. No one ever bought them, but I'm not particularly stressed out about that. It was more from a standpoint of like what can you do with this technology? And one of the neat things that we could do with a 360-degree set is we can shoot somebody on orthographically on a regular camera, like we have here,
Mm-hmm.
and put them in a 360-degree set. So we make 360-degree sets with 2D, two-dimensional real video.
Ah.
So it was a way of, sort of cheating and getting into 360 video without acquiring in true 360.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, so there was a lot of neat stuff that we could go with that if the market demanded it, but I don't think people are as enthusiastic about putting on those VR goggles as people might.
Right. There's a lot of wires. There's a lot of cables. It's very bespoke. I mean, I've done it.
Well,
It's very cool, but I think that for the general adoption, it's going to need a big reduction in the complexity.
Yeah. Even with, I have a Samsung S8, which has either the Gear or Google Daydream.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't use it.
You still don't use it, yeah.
What am I going to do? Sit, where am I going to sit at my desk with goggles on? I can't see my computer.
Right.
Am I going to do it in bed? That's kind of weird. Am I going to do it on the couch? Everybody's going to be sitting in, the living room going, Eric,
you're tuned out. Yeah, you can't see anything.
So there are some hurdles to overcome there, because even without cables, there's some obstacles. There has to be definitive use cases for it.
Mm.
But, in general, it's been really neat to watch the industry migrate from a traditional broadcast environment to more of a, call it, new media. Things are definitely changing as people migrate away from traditional over-the-air and cable to over the top and just general cord cutting ongoing. People are consuming content more individually, which leads to greater specialization in content and different strategies for monetization, as opposed to making $6 million commercials. People are making $50 commercials.
Right. It is interesting to see that fragmentation happen and like you said, specialization in the types of content media. I mean, this is a perfect example of highly specific media that we're producing right now. And we don't run commercials on it, but we're not currently trying to monetize it directly. So
you should. I would buy ad space.
You'd buy ad space here. Yeah, we should.
No,
should sell
we're
ad
commercial
space
sponsor.
We're sponsored by VirtualSetWorks. Yeah. It's a good. Yeah, it's something to think about. I know Facebook's going to be experimenting quite a bit with that in the next year or two. So who knows what could happen.
So we have some slides.
Yeah, we do. I actually want to bring it back to virtual sets and talk a little bit about. So let's bring some up. So why don't you talk a little bit about the sets that you have and some of the images that I think we have prepped here.
Yeah. So let's see slide number 1.
Okay.
And this is a studio from the package that's currently available on the Telestream website. And I wish I had structured this in a way where I could actually peel back those layers, but everything down to those brick columns, the truss work, the catwalk, all of those screens can all be made to disappear. Mm-hmm. And you can build it up layer by layer right within Wirecast. You can change out that background, which is one of those New York skylines I've been talking about. You can even replace it with your own video. And obviously the nice young lady there is replaced by your talent, who is generally shot full body on a green screen stage. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't have a full body green screen stage, there's a lot of sets with desks in them, like that Studio 188 that we saw earlier. And in fact, the set that I'm on, you can't see much of the desk because I'm zoomed in, but if you look at the very bottom of my picture frame, you can just see a little sliver of the desk that I'm sitting behind, which helps frame my shot because I am not on a full frame green screen stage. Mm-hmm. Slide number 2.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
So this is
same model.
Yes, yeah. Well, I tend to be efficient in my recycling of my digital people. So I've only got 5 of them, so I use them sparingly. This is Studio 207 from the second package of virtual sets coming out for Wirecast sometime very soon. Mm-hmm. And again, that brick carefully handcrafted This shot actually has a desk in it at a different angle, and then it also has a big wraparound screen on another angle. But you can populate that blue where that screen is with the blue globe on it. You can replace that content with your own, and then you can obviously change the image that's out the window there.
So when a set like this is loaded up into Wirecast, for example, roughly how much image memory is being run? Because those files can get kind of large, right? Are these going to hit if somebody's on a system, a somewhat limited system? How hard is it going to hit them?
Yeah, they're close to 100. I mean, it does vary a lot because some sets only have a few layers, and some sets like that one and the previous two that we showed, there's some examples of the highly layered sets, and they're going to run like close to 100 megs.
And when it's loading a specific angle, is it loading just that, like those cropped images, or is it loading the whole thing and then choosing an aperture?
So there's that brings up some good points. Each virtual set comes with 16 different angles. When I'm describing this set and telling you about all of the things that you don't see here, they're in different angles. So this is the C angle.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to show that. I'll show them exactly what we're talking about. I'll pull that up while I'm talking.
So there's an A, B, C, and D angle, and each of those have 4 different zoom levels of wide, medium, close-up, and extreme close-up, so that you can utilize them to their best effect. So each set comes with 16 angles, and then each angle comes with, say, 4 to 20 different layers. And if memory is an issue, you don't need to have all of those on. There is what we call a composite shot. And the composite shot is a single image which contains most of everything that appears behind the talent. So in Studio 188, that could be a single image, talent layer, and then there's a desk layer, and then there's another layer for your screen. So it can be as simple as 4 layers, though I've always found that Wirecast is pretty efficient with the usage of memory on the virtual set layers, because going back, God, I don't even know how long. I always remember the first time I tried Wirecast. It might be like a decade ago. I was trying to figure out how it's possible that it could have all of the different layers that I built together rendered in real time, and it was just a really efficient engine for just putting all of those layers one on top of each other.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to show folks real fast on my desktop here kind of what you're talking about. Maybe you can walk me through the different angles and we can talk a little bit about it. So first, if you need to know that this isn't possible in Wirecast Studio, you need Wirecast Pro in order to import these virtual sets. Otherwise, you could bring them into Studio, but you have to bring them in as sort of individual assets sitting on an image on your hard drive. You bring them in as images, basically. The nice thing about if you have Pro is it will actually import them directly. You can browse them within Wirecast. They plug right into the virtual sets that already were in Wirecast Pro. And so starting in Wirecast 8, we were able to start giving people options right here on the welcome screen. So you can see actually right here is the virtual set pack that we're talking about right now. And the nice thing is when we add the second one, is because we're going to release that soon, we'll also add that right here as well. So people can just get that. If that's another great way to find these and get to them. Okay, so let's launch just a blank document here, and we'll just keep it straightforward and simple here. We're just going to add a new virtual set here, and this is Wirecast 8 for those who are keeping track here, but you could do this in Wirecast 7 as well. So in Wirecast Pro, you get access to this virtual set option. You wouldn't see that add virtual set option in Studio. And then the other thing is that you would have these sort of basic 3, let's be frank here, not the best looking sets that come with Wirecast. After you install the virtual set pack, you'll see all from Eric and VirtualSetWorks, you'll see all these other studios. Now, there's so many to choose from. Now, really what we're talking about is 6 studios, like Studio 188 and so forth, with the different angles that you're talking about, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you also said you included a composite as well. with each one of these angles, or how does that work? Which one of these would I look for the composite?
There's a composite available. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if it's in there.
It may not be installed.
Should you have memory problems, please speak with me.
Speak with you.
But
okay, got it.
We haven't run into that issue.
Yeah, so it hasn't been a big deal. So
until that happens.
All right, no worries.
But if you want to pull up that one that we had the slide for.
Yeah, I think that was. Which one was that one?
Go down a little more.
Here we are.
Yeah. Any of those.
Any of these? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have her standing.
Any of the widest shots.
The widest shots. Okay, let's do that. We'll start with the super extreme. So there's wide and extreme wide.
Yeah.
Both of these are pretty wide. Okay. So we'll hit OK. We'll hit wide, and then the set will load up in Wirecast.
Yeah.
And now one thing that Wirecast doesn't yet do is it doesn't sort of recognize. Because we have placeholders in our virtual sets that are just there, the A and the B placeholders, but they don't necessarily override Eric's. So you'll just need to get rid of those. You don't, because Eric already has a placeholder in his, so you can get rid of the A and the B. You don't really need them. And he has the layer that's called talent here. So
then you can get rid of her too.
Yeah, we
I mean, unless you want her there.
Right. So this is where you see all of those layers and elements that you spend weeks crafting, right? So we're seeing the lighting, the bricks.
Turn off the brick walls.
Okay, we'll turn off the brick walls. Here we go. So we're gonna turn off those.
Next one up.
Oh, sorry, brick walls. There we go. The shadow.
Well, I mean, I guess the shadows have to go too.
So it's like remodeling your apartment. You could we need to knock these walls out. They're not load bearing. We can take these out and really want a better view of the skyline.
Yeah, and you can turn the shadows off too. I forgot the shadows are on individual layers. And then if you go up, if you don't like those couches, you can scroll up.
Take out the couches.
Until
there they are.
Couches
Boom.
and
the shadows.
Yep.
So we're really opening up the space. It's really becoming kind of a loft apartment now.
Yeah. And if you turn them all off, you'll just end up with
nothing. It's black.
Background.
Right. Transparency.
Yeah.
And what's cool here, of course, is that you can still select individual layers. You can move your talent around. I mean, you can even, if you rearrange the furniture if you want, right? So to a certain extent, obviously, it's designed to kind of sit at the angle it's shot at. But yeah, so I think this is really cool.
You can scoot things around, if you need to move them off a little bit.
We can even, and I believe, again, we tried this. I don't remember how well this works or not. But if we select all, I think for a while, we were playing around with the idea of just being able to zoom in to a tighter angle. It works pretty well.
Yeah, it does. So the sets they are 1.5 times HD. So they each have the ability to be able to be zoomed in on a little bit without breaking that 1.1 that 1-to-1 pixel barrier.
That's perfect to know. I did not know that. That's great. So I would say that what would your kind of top tip be as far as making these work? I mean, I was going to say, if I had to guess, lighting, right? If you can match the lighting, you're in it, right?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Getting your lighting to match your set is the most. Everybody, always says questions to the effect of, "What can I do to make it more realistic?" And after having a decent chroma key, it's lighting, because if your lighting matches the set, subconsciously, you've already told the viewer's brain that the person is where they belong.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the most important thing.
I think that's really, it's a huge, I just noticed that, is that if you've got, a virtual set and the light is coming from the window to the left, and then your main light source is coming from the other side, everyone's gonna be like, something is off. And they can't quite put their finger on what, but they know it looks fake.
Yeah. Gone are the days mostly where what used to happen is, I don't know if do you guys remember composite?
Composite.
So people would always try to key on composite, and composite had this thing where it interleaved the chrominance and luminance, and what it did is it created this effect that looked like there were bees swarming over your body. But that's no longer. And I remember when S-video started to be cool, everybody's like, "Oh my God, the key is so much better." And I think these days we're just strictly, HDMI and SDI, which is what we're using here, or just straight. There's a lot of good quality USB cameras.
Right.
Well.
And and let's talk about that for a second, because we were just kind of doing this before the show, but I think the number one thing you can do to get a good key, besides light your green screen and your subject well, is turn off your auto exposure.
Yep.
Right? Because if you move closer to your webcam or further away, it'll try to adjust because the light has hitting the lens has changed, and that'll throw everything off that the computer is doing to take out the background, because it's suddenly being like, oh, something's wrong. So once you set everything, lock it down, right? You should have a controlled lighting environment.
Yep, it's a very, very important point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lighting, very important. You know, and you don't need to go hog wild on on lighting. Under $1,000 will get you amazing lights. And there's all sorts of documents and documentaries on how to get really good lights for $100 to $200. So there's value options if you're willing to work on it. I think the lights here are I think we're looking at about $600 of lights here, which is this is an okay lighting setup. It fully illuminates the green screen and myself.
So a couple comments from the crowd here. One is from Eric Giannuzzi, and he's saying that you look how suave you look right now. You look super suave. He loves the V-neck.
Thank you, Eric. You have a great name too.
And Rick is wondering what type of mic you're using.
Does it sound good or bad?
Well, the next comment in it, is it the earpiece headphone looking item on your mic, or a cheap feedback system you made?
What I have in my ear is just my regular cell phone earbuds. But no, I'm not using the microphone that's right here. I'm actually using the microphone on my my Logitech camera. But to show you what I should be using, I have this guy, which is a Sennheiser.
Oh, nice. Headset mic. Those are great.
This is what
you
I should be using.
You absolutely should be using that.
Yeah, because you might be hearing a little bit of an echo in my voice, and this would completely eliminate that.
Yes, we are getting a bit of the room echo, but that's okay. Let's see. Eric also has a question for you. Why do you have such a great first name?
I was born with it.
So we have hi from Chile, and let's see.
Hola.
Somebody with a question from about Wirecast 7.7. I think that's a tech support question. And I think that covers the comments for the moment. If you have anything else for Eric, we can always get it to him, or you can check back on the comments and sort of filter through.
And you can always reach out to me
at
Eric@VirtualSetWorks.com.
Yeah, I think we have some contact information we can throw up. There we go. Best place to reach Eric if you have questions, you want to check out the sets, if you want to strike a deal on your favorite virtual environment that he's built.
If you want to know what I look like without a goatee and wearing a tie, observe now.
It's true. It's true.
True story. That picture was taken at IBC.
Was it? Okay.
Yep.
Well, Eric, it has been a pleasure bringing you on the show today, and I'm so glad we got a chance to kind of dive in, show some of the sets off. You can find those at Eric's website at virtualsetworks.com. You can find them at the Wirecast site. They're a little buried. We'll try to bring them out on the front page, but you can find them from the store page. You can also find them in-app if you're in Wirecast 8 in the welcome screen right there.
And coming soon is Pack 2.
Pack number 2. And that will have 6 sets as well?
Exactly the same number of sets, same price, new sets.
Same price, new sets. Cool. I can't wait. We'll send out an email when they're up and available.
Great.
All right. Well,
thank you for having us on the show today. And as always, it's a pleasure.
It was our pleasure, Eric. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch soon, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
So that was Eric Pratt from VirtualSetWorks.com. As you can see, super nice dude and has been around the industry for a long time. He's seen sort of the trajectory as it's gone. He's been to way more NABs than I have, and really knows his stuff. And as you can see, the sets that he makes are just amazing. They look so much better than kind of the stock stuff you find out there. He is been doing this a long time, and he knows what he's doing. And what I love, I think, most of all, is how he does marry the computer-generated stuff with the natural organic photos of objects and things like that. It really makes the set seem so much more realistic and just adds to that effect. So if you can match your lighting and make sure your chroma key is good, you can basically appear anywhere you want and in some of the beautiful virtual environments. So highly recommend you check that out. We can talk more about those or go over more virtual set lessons, maybe even some lighting lessons during the Wirecast University. I'd like to take a moment to remind you that you can subscribe to this show and find us every week on Thursdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. And also, if you're wanting to get into those learning lessons at Wirecast University, you should subscribe to our email list, which is right on the screen below me, and we will send you an email when we're live next, which could be anytime next week, starting with our Wirecast University shows. Also, I'd like to take a moment to thank our partners for the show that make this possible through their technology. We would not be able to do this without them. And pretty soon we're going to have to add VirtualSetWorks on there as well, because they will be helping us with the university shows. As you saw, we're using their Studio 188 to make us look a little more academic during that show. And finally, I want to let you know that next week's show you should definitely tune in for. It's going to be a fun one. We'll be talking about creating live streams that will engage your audience with Steve Aitchison, an expert marketer, content producer. He's really going to have some amazing tips for how to build better shows, how to build better audiences. Eric and I today were talking about how you have to get better at creating niche content, and as content begins to sort of fragment and people find their interests more specifically, you need to know how to build types of content that will attract that audience and help you get your message out there. So tune in for that one. It's going to be a good one. This has been another episode of Wirecast Live. I want to say thank you so much to our guest and to all of you for tuning in. It's been real. I'll see you next week.